Hello, my name is Andy Seetherton. I'm the Senior Instructor of Combat Fusion Martial Arts. Well, welcome to this, our second video in the P.O.D series dealing with techniques of the Kempo syllabus. We are at the moment dealing with techniques in the Orange Belt syllabus, and this is number 2, Triggered Salute. At Combat Fusion, we use the 16 technique requirements for grades. We will take a look at this technique in a moment from 3 different perspectives without a partner, so you can see the basic intricate movements within the technique itself. We will then progress on, look at the technique, broken down move for move, and discuss some of the concepts involved in it. And at the end, we'll look at maybe 3 examples of things you can do to change the technique up. Also, please remember that these are just views from Combat Fusion's training. We're not saying this is the only way you can do these techniques or indeed execute the extensions. So we'll get right into that now with the 3 different perspectives without a partner. The technique Triggered Salute receives its title from the initial attack of a push to the shoulder. This attack triggers a counter-attack of a heel palm strike to our opponent's chin. The heel palm strike in Kempo is termed a salute, so this becomes a triggered salute. As Grandmaster Parker grew up through the years of World War II, it would have been common for him to see the newsreel reports of the National Socialist German Workers' Party using the Nazi salute. This resembled the heel palm strike, therefore the heel palm strike became termed a salute. As our opponent attacks pushing at our shoulder, he simultaneously steps forward. This action triggers our response of also stepping forward into a neutral bow, ensuring the knee of our lead leg buckles the inside of our opponent's knee. We also simultaneously pin check our opponent's attacking hand with our rear hand, whilst we deliver the heel palm strike torquing through his chin, forcing his head back and immediately compromising his posture. These 3 actions should be executed simultaneously as we step forward, shortening the distance between us and our opponent. This results in our borrowing his force and recycling it into our depth of penetration. At this point in our movement, we also create a triangle between the 3 points of contact, giving our structure a solid form which, in turn, helps focus our depth of penetration. Our opponent should now be distracted by the impact of the initial counter-strike. We continue to maintain the pinning check as our striking hand body contact contours down our opponent's arm, forming a crane's beak to anchor at his elbow in the direction of 530. This action may result in forward movement from our opponent. Ensure the crown of our head is presented towards our opponent's face in case of an involuntary headbutt. Without any loss in motion, continue from the sliding check down our opponent's arm to deliver an inward elbow strike to his solar plexus. This will elicit a reaction that has the potential to temporarily paralyze the diaphragm and make our opponent curve his upper body. Continue through with this motion under our opponent's arm, which is still pin-checked to our chest. Immediately reverse the direction of your arm to deliver an outward elbow to his floating rib. This will compound the effect of the first elbow strike and cause our opponent to curve his body away from us. This places our opponent in a position where his kidney or floating rib becomes a viable target. By utilizing residual torque, we pull the elbow back towards our hip. The residual torque is coupled to the direct rotation from our body to deliver an outward hammer fist to our opponent's kidney or floating rib. The previous strike produces a reaction from our opponent which causes the launching of his head up and backwards. Keep the arm in motion, drawing it back towards your hip, then on to strike our opponent's chin with a vertical back knuckle. We will now cover the details of Triggered Salute's extension. If you do not require it at your stage of training, you may wish to bypass the next section. Walk up the circle with your rear foot to place your line of attack on a trajectory that intersects with our opponent's center line. We are seeking the center. As we execute this foot maneuver, have the striking arm gravitationally check down on our opponent's arm, as we simultaneously release the pinning check, which now converts to an overhead claw down onto our opponent's face. Immediately follow up with a second vertical back knuckle to our opponent's chin. Now move into a rear crossover in the direction of 12 o'clock as we deliver a back elbow strike with our lead arm again to our opponent's solar plexus, simultaneously with another claw to his face. Now step out of the rear crossover into a reverse bow, utilizing the rear of your leg to thrust and lock a buckle as it contacts your opponent's knee. Simultaneously deliver a hammer fist to the groin of our opponent, keeping the claw in position to protect our face from an involuntary headbutt until such time as we feel this is no longer a threat. From the reverse bow, have the hammer fist to our opponent's groin. Now shoot directly up, delivering an inner elbow strike to the underside of our opponent's chin. This will result in his head moving up and back. The reaction from this strike clears our path of action for an angle of departure that allows the delivery of a knee kick to the inner knee of our opponent's leading leg as we front crossover and cover out. Hello and welcome back. So now we've looked at the technique broken down and we've got a good working idea of the component parts in the base and extension. We're now going to look at a couple of variations. Now this first variation is a really simple change to actually alter the technique and bring it more into a real world environment. Normally we find that our opponents, when we're working this technique, tend to step forward with the same leg as hand they push with. So if you're doing it with the right side, you'll step forward with your right foot and push with your right hand. This tends to cause the attacker to blade himself edge on. He turns to the side, and this then takes away a lot of the central targets that you can access. You will note that when I broke down the technique during the video, I inserted a walk up the circle. Now this takes care of the side-on type attack where our opponent blades, where we can then go back and, as it said in the video, seek the center. However, if we do what's in this example of a variation and our opponent attacks with the right hand, say, but stepping forward with the left foot, the body is more square and then everything you need is already in front of you. Then there's no need to walk a circle because you can just go straight through and take the leg out without any hassle. Okay, let's move on to another variation. Now in this next one, this is something I sort of discovered by accident while I was working the line. Somebody attacked me from a very close range and I didn't actually have time to execute the heel palm to the face straight away. So I prefixed with an uppercut to the stomach and then inserted a flapping elbow to the chin and then went back to the base technique and continued with the heel palm to the face. So I'm going to give you the example of that here when my partner Joe attacks me. He's going to be slightly closer and I'm going to prefix with an uppercut, insert a flapping elbow and then get back on track with the full technique. So in this next variation, we're looking at the way our hand tracks down our opponent's attacking arm. In triggered salute, as you'll see from the breakdown and most probably from your knowledge, that the heel palm is immediately followed by a body contour track down our opponent's attacking arm to the elbow, where we anchor down towards 530. So as I said in the video breakdown, this can potentially invite an involuntary headbutt, which you must be aware of. But I've also found with students that this can sometimes slow up their technique response time, and it can close off targets as well. So the way I teach this to my students is they use the body contour contouring down the arm just as a travelling check rather than to anchor at the elbow. The idea being that should my opponent for some reason be able to get his hand out from my pinning check and then it becomes a wild card, which I don't know what it's going to do, the travelling check down the arm allows me to keep that hand under control momentarily and allow me to continue with the technique without interrupting the flow of the technique itself. Well, thank you for joining us on this info pod. I hope you found it of use. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like and a share. Well, this is Andy Seelan of Combat Fusion Martial Arts saying goodbye.